All right. So today on our Atelier talk, we have Bryce Rogers. How's it going?
It's going excellent. Great to be here. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. I'm liking the setup over there.
Thank you. Thank you. Likewise. I love your space.
Right on. What's the canvas you got back there?
Um, just a cute little tapestry set up. Kind of the backdrop for my piano and little setup. This is my little recording studio slash bedroom. So this is
Yeah.
where the magic happens.
Yes, perfect. And piano. I've seen you playing guitar mostly. How long have you been playing piano?
Well, I actually started on the keys, but I didn't really have a good keyboard until just this last year.
Nice.
So I primarily played guitar, but this was a Christmas present, and I was just so excited to get it. It's definitely filled a craving I've had for a while. I love the keys.
It's like weighted or semi
Yeah,
keyboard back there. Yeah.
I waited for this one. I really I just held it and was like, okay, I'll wait for the perfect piano, and it was worth the wait. It really was.
Yeah, it's nice to have it all set up too. I feel like if it's in a case or something, it's just like it's a lot. Chances are you won't play it as much just because it's like lugging the whole thing out and everything.
Oh, so true. That's how it always is. You got to have things, ready for you, available.
Hmm.
Makes a big difference.
Have you been playing keys lately?
Yeah. I'm trying to do more writing with the piano now that it's available, which has been really fun. It's nice to be able to write on different instruments because you get a different vibe.
Completely.
Yeah. It
Yeah.
even going from songs that I wrote just on my guitar and then being like, I'm gonna change it for the piano and just see what I can create with that and take a step back and come back at the songs. It's really nice.
That can get pretty technical, especially if you're like playing the song with a capo on guitar and then like transferring it over to piano. Yeah.
Yeah, it does. It happens pretty quick. Things get complicated when you're switching back and forth, but it makes it very interesting.
Mm. Yeah, definitely. So the songs change quite a bit.
um, yeah, I found they have when I do that. It, kind of like the emotion or the feel. I I'm not very proficient with the keys yet, so I have a kind of like one or two ways that I play. I'm
Mm.
sure that will change over time as I just get better at it. But yeah, it's a learning process.
Yeah.
You know.
How has this whole kind of quarantine situation impacted your like artistry, like kind of your plans as a musician?
Um, well, to be honest, I had to kind of take a step back from things. I'm actually living with my folks right now.
Mhm.
When the virus hit, there just wasn't much for my normal gigs in Tucson. So I decided to bite the bullet and move back with my folks so I could have the space I needed to keep doing. So um, it's been it's been really great for the writing and the recording because I've just been able to dive in,
Mm.
without any distractions or anything like that.
Mm.
It definitely was a change of pace, though. Coming back home, is one of those things you kind of have to swallow a little pride. And in this case, this room is kind of small, so I got rid of my bed and got a vocal booth in here so that I could get some better recordings.
Oh wow.
Um, it's so worth it. I mean, it, I'm sleeping on the floor, but it's okay. Um, it's not that bad.
You slept on the floor when you were staying in LA. I remember that.
Yeah, I'm honestly kind of a fan of the floor. I've never been one to complain about it.
You have like a mat or
I do have a little yoga mat that I roll out. Um, but a funny story: when I was younger, my parents would always get upset because I had a bed growing up, but I would always get off the bed and go lay on the floor. And
Mm.
even we didn't have carpet; we had concrete.
Oh,
So I
wow.
just toss my blanket down and lay on the concrete. It's nice and cool and stuff. And
Mm.
so, yeah, I kind of like the floor.
Yeah. Yeah. That's pretty wild. That's pretty wild. I feel like 99% of people would probably choose the bed. Not,
Yeah.
yeah. But that's you. Thank God we have you and your expressions of music too. Yeah.
Mhm.
So when did you start writing music?
Um, well, I really got into it when I was 14. It's kind of when I like all in committed. I just, I've been playing for a couple years, and there was something about music that just gave me like this form of communication that I just never had. Just being able to feel heard and seen like that was wonderful. And I decided, man, this is just what I want to do all the time. If I could just write music and do this and play music with people, and that would be the life. And so 14 years old, I was like, this is what I'm doing, and
Yeah.
um, haven't turned back since. Well, I
This,
love it.
yeah. This is a fun one. Do you remember your first song that you ever wrote?
Um, yeah, it was super sappy.
Of course it was.
Yeah, I remember one lyric in particular from the first song was, the word amazing is not enough to describe you. You know,
Yes. So
very
it was
cheesy.
romantic. It was a romantic one then. It was a love song.
It was. It was.
Good work. Do you still find yourself writing some romantic songs like in that style?
Um, less these days.
Mm.
I've kind of not been not a lot of romance happening for me. But I wrote a few songs. I put out a song last Thanksgiving called Thankful, which is a little romantic, just talking about that special someone, and also friendships and everything in life that you can be grateful for. But yeah, that was my last romantic tune.
So it sounds like you write a lot of music from like personal, like most of it comes from personal narrative, like things that you go through personally.
Yeah, yeah. Music has always been a big coping skill for me, to be able to process my mental health and how I feel about things. So I tend to write from that experience, to write about how I'm feeling about situations and what I'm going through, and that personal growth. Um, I think I really got into that because those were the kind of artists that I really resonated with, because
Mm.
um, like Nako Bear from Medicine for the People,
Mm.
uh, the rawness to his music and that personal experience brought so much healing to my life. I was like,
Mm.
yeah, that's where I want to get in the nitty gritty.
Yeah, yeah, it is nitty gritty. It's it can be awkward too. It can be beautiful, but it sometimes is awkward because I don't know if this is for you, but when I write a song inspired by a friend or just someone that I've been around recently, I pretty much have to show them the song. Like it's hard
Mm-hmm.
for me to keep it to myself because I'm really excited that like right that it was inspired and I think it's a good thing. But sometimes it can be a little awkward. What's your experience of that? Are you able to keep it to yourself or do you share it pretty quickly once you write it? Like how does that go?
I totally feel what you mean there. I really like to share the tunes. I feel you. It's like you wrote it for somebody. They have to hear it.
Mm.
Um, I think of one in particular. My first EP that I put out has a song called Little Brother on it. And my bro and I have always been super tight. I mean, we were best friends. We had kind of a falling out for a couple years.
Yeah.
And, I really wanted him to hear what I had to say. And so I wrote this song.
Mm.
Um, and I played it for him. And I was super excited. I just like laid my heart on the line. And at the time, you know how it is with brothers, he was like, whatever.
Uh,
And and so I was like, well, I'm going to put it on my album then. you know, I'm still going to play the song, you know. You're
Mm.
not going to hear it, someone will. Um, and that actually was probably one of the best songs from the album. I think the interaction that I got with people being able to resonate, you know. I had one guy say, "Man, if I could have written this for my brother, we'd still be friends." And I
Wow.
was like, "I feel that, man."
That's wild. That's a
It
wild experience to
it
write.
hit home.
Yeah. You think you wrote it for this specific person, so you share it with them because that's all you can imagine, and then you decide to share it with everyone, and you see that it was actually for these other people. Whew.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's the beautiful part about music is just how much we can connect with experiences. Sometimes we write something that we just think like, oh man, this is too personal, nobody could relate to this, and then everybody's like, I feel you, that's exactly how I feel, you took the words from my mouth, you know. And um, it's such a beautiful connection that we can find with each other in music and art.
Mm, mm. Yeah. Yeah, sometimes um I'll wonder how, someone, or I'll get asked myself just like how musicians can spend the amount of time it takes to learn an instrument, just sitting by themselves, like working on scales or learning chords or writing or whatever. And I think that's at least my answer now is usually when I'm
Mm,
playing or writing a song, I'm like I'm already imagining how I'm going to share it with people, right? And
yeah.
so it doesn't feel so lonely in that sense.
Mm, totally, totally. And that's beautiful. I think, you know, being able to share to share our truths with music, you know, it's beautiful because it allows us to have a common ground with each other. You know, we can talk about personal stuff, we can talk about politics, we can talk about life, love and loss, and we can find a common ground in it, even if we wouldn't normally, you know.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah, completely. Has this time then, so you're back home and you've got a little setup for recording, which is really cool. Do you feel like you've been more focused on recording what you've written before, or have you been able to stay creative and keep writing during this time?
It's been hard not to write. um, you know, I think with everything going on in the world, there's just so much energy, so much things to kind of take in.
Mm.
um, Originally I wanted to just like dive fully into the album I'm working on, because you know I'm still an amateur and I wanted to do a full album, 16 songs, and really make them nice. And it was a little bit of, you know, I'm treading water, it's a little bit above my experience. um, but then, you know, this year has just had so much on the plate. um, as a writer, you can't always turn that off. Sometimes it just keeps happening. And so I've
Mm.
almost written my next album after this. I'm just about done with it.
Wow.
Um,
Wow, man.
I'm really excited too, because that's the other thing. You know, when you write new songs, you want to share those. And so I'm like, I got to keep doing the old ones, you know?
Yeah, that is tricky, man. That's so tricky. Yeah. Woo. That's
Yeah.
so tricky. It's nice. I'm thankful for voice memos because at least with voice memos, I can like get a solid live take of a new
Mm,
song, and I'll just start playing it live, like whether we're streaming or in a backyard at this point. Like we'll just play it because you just have to. Like you feel like for me, I feel like I was given this message or whatever this is by the universe right now for a purpose. So even if like all the notes aren't perfect and if it's going to change completely when we release it, I got to play it now because what if it's for someone now, right?
yeah. So true. So true. And And with the music, you just kind of you follow your heart with that. It's like, yep, all in. It's
Hmm.
a beautiful thing.
Yeah. So, any any interesting songs you're thinking about right now that you've been working on? Like, so there is a lot right now on the plate. So, kind of where you said not maybe not so much romantically right now. So, what are some of the themes taking shape in these songs?
Um, the songs I'm writing or releasing.
Um, whichever, wherever you'd like to start. Yeah. I'd-
Okay, okay. Um, well, I'm pretty fired up about some of the new stuff I'm working on.
Mhm.
The old tunes, they're kind of like a story from my past. They're all, the album I'm working on is all old songs. So
Mhm.
that's wonderful. There's a little less excitement about some of the older ones. The new ones, they're so fresh.
Mm.
Um, Definitely have more energy. I released one last month called "This Too Shall Pass,"
Mhm. Yep.
which I wrote at kind of the beginning of the pandemic, and just seeing everybody in so much fear over it all, and all these things. And of course, we have to be careful, and we have to take care of each other, and all those great things. But when it all started taking a place, there was all these agendas that just started popping up with the whole situation.
Yeah.
Um, and I wrote this song, "This Too Shall Pass," kind of just in the light of, you know, this is life. This happens.
Mm.
100 years ago, there was a plague. 100 years before that, there was something like that, and we address it accordingly. But then life goes on, the good and the bad. It will pass in the end,
Mm.
um, and we just keep going. So
Mm.
um, I was really excited about that release. I got to go out to Montana to finish it up and record the music video,
Mm.
which was just a blast. Getting out of my atmosphere, being in the mountains and the rivers, and um, definitely a different vibe from the desert. It was wonderful.
It sounds like it. It sounds really wonderful.
Yeah, it was a great experience. It was just a simple live acoustic track, just me singing my heart out, and I put together the fun little video. And yeah, I mean, there's not too much more to say about that song, other than it was really nice to be able to share those new feelings, those new ideas in the midst of, well, still writing the old album. It was a real treat for me to be able to break out of the old songs and share a new one.
Yeah, and that does seem like a very timely one. I mean, I feel like there's always, like you were saying, there's always going to be something that, will pass. And we're always going to be going through something because humanity is just striving for better all the time, and
Yeah,
getting through something all the time. But right now, it definitely seems very heightened. Um, the need to like uh the need to unite together, right?
mm,
But then I think within that need to unite together, we start to see the different groups, right? That just are so passionate about certain things that directly conflict with other groups that are so passionate about things. And then we start
yeah.
those as divisions, and then it's like, and then the blame game starts of like, well, we all need to unite because there's this problem that humanity needs to address, and these guys, everyone's on the same page except for these guys. And then on the same page except for these guys. And then there's and then the person talking is also obviously on a different page too. Yeah, it's been pretty chaotic. I like
Yeah,
your stance on that. Just like um it's gonna things are gonna keep changing, and it's gonna pass. Yeah. Mm.
hmm and the birds, the lyric I really like in the song, the birds, they're still singing, despite our fears. the birds, they're gonna keep singing, they're gonna keep living life. They're gonna live the natural process. um, I think you're so right about, in a time like this, we all understand there's a need for unity. um, but that seems to divide us too. Like you were saying, we're all like, well, if these guys kind of cooperated, then we could all work together. And well, no, it's these guys that need to cooperate.
Mm.
But I think that's one of the most amazing parts that I've seen with music in 2020,
Mm.
is that we don't it can be observational. It doesn't have to be just a personal bias. You can write about what you see and share that, and then we can connect over that and kind of, you know truly see the bigger picture of what's happening. And
Mm.
I think that's really important. I think art and music is really important in times like what we're going through right now, because we need that common ground and we need that observational mindset for things. Um, so there isn't that that division that consists of around, we should be united, but it's this guy's fault or this guy's fault.
That makes a lot of sense to me. And there are like certain things and environments in life that I think can put us in a state where we let go of our like attachment to having an agenda or having a schedule or having a plan that's going to fix something.
Mm,
And I think that's why I feel comfortable sharing my music, because I don't feel like it's something that I made up. It's not something that I like
mm,
put all together and I have this big plan and everything's gonna be fixed because I wrote this song. Like it's never happened like that. It's more like you're in this state of mind that usually a certain chord progression has just like launched me into. And then all of a
mm,
sudden, right, like what you're saying, kind of like observation, like you get put in
yeah.
a state of just like, this is the truth that I've experienced. And it just kind of pours out of you. Do you have an idea of where that comes from?
Um, in my opinion, I think that's a spiritual thing. It's I
Mm.
heard someone say sometimes with music you Ouija board it. You don't think, you just play and you let it flow out of you.
Mm.
And I think those are the best songs. I mean, some of the best songs I've ever written were the ones that I didn't think about. I didn't have a plan for, like you said. I didn't have an agenda. I just started writing, and all this stuff started plopping out. And I was like, I feel that way. Wow, that's really intense. I didn't realize that was so heavy on me. Um,
Dude, isn't that crazy when you sing something or like yeah, it's usually when I sing. I don't know if it happens really any other way, but you'll sing a lyric and then you're just like, how? Ah, gosh, like, yeah, I feel it. That
you know,
wow, yeah,
it's
very
it's
surprising.
true.
It's surprising. Why is it so surprising? That just makes me think that I'm so unaware of what's actually going on in my mind and my body until I take like real time.
Mm,
And then when it happens, it's like, oh,
yeah,
yeah.
our subconscious has a lot to say if we let it, take the reins.
Mm, mm, that's interesting. That's really interesting. Uh,
Mm.
That's cool.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's I think that's kind of the thing when people like get into music.
Mm,
Non-musicians expect this element. It's like, oh well, it just kind of plops out of you. And then when we get into music, we like work really hard to get a song done, and we
mm,
forget about the fact that sometimes, yeah, they just plop out of you. You don't it's not you anymore. It's this idea that was already there, and we're just the the person that happened to pick it up. We're just the tool to voice that. Yeah. So it could be anybody.
yeah.
It just happens to be you or me in that situation.
Yeah. Yeah, and then being like thankful for that as an artist, I think is like just appreciating or being or like having gratitude. I think it can be a really heavy burden, right? Especially when we have a music industry that is like as competitive and it can just be like dividing, right? And like isolating,
Mm.
right? To
Yeah.
be a singer songwriter, especially, there's no like real path that I've seen. You know, it's cool to see universities having right degrees
Hmm.
now for like songwriting and all sorts of things, which is really cool. But it's still like for a person that needs structure, I feel like it's really hard to just like to know what to do and to not have to go to
Yeah.
like some producer that's on his own path and then go to some cello player that's on their own path and then which is super fun and it's the greatest adventure that I've ever been on. But at the same time, it's
Hmm.
just sometimes I wish I could just like Google it. Just like you could Google like getting, you know, like being a doctor at a hospital or being a teacher and like all the things that you have to do to get your credential,
Yeah.
right? It's like sometimes those are nice, but there's not quite a step program for songwriters.
Totally. It's very free flowing. And it's funny. I was just thinking about this morning. The more I learn about my craft, the more experience I gain, the more I realize that I don't know very much.
Mm,
That there's still a lot to learn.
mm,
Um, it, and it kind of makes me laugh because I'm getting into this album and I'm like, I got 2 EPs down, I'm working on my third one, I'm professional. And then 10 minutes later I'm like, man, I'm a newbie, what's going on here? You spend some time learning, and sometimes we realize we don't know as much as we thought.
mm. Yeah, and that can be humbling, but it can also be discouraging, right? Just
Sometimes.
sometimes.
Yeah. There is some beauty in it because I definitely felt that discouragement, but when I've been able to let go of that and be like, well, this is just simply where I'm at, this is what I'm capable of.
Mm,
And even though I've worked hard, this is my experience.
mm,
um, there's kind of a lightheartedness to that, to be like, I'm no master, I know nothing, just like, that's okay, it's still turning out fine. The songs don't need to be perfect, they just have to tell my story, and
mm.
eventually they'll get better, and that's great. But until then, we work with what we got, even if it's a little less. And I definitely felt that discouragement for a while, trying to do stuff at home at least.
Yeah.
I joke about feeling like a caveman, and so there was quite a learning curve figuring out how to work, the DAW and just everything, making it process properly. And I'm still don't know what I'm doing, but I'm getting there. I'm able to record on my own and then bring it into my engineer, and
Mm.
that's working pretty good for me. A
Oh, nice.
lot to learn.
So you're still collaborating.
Yeah. I can't do mixing and mastering on my own.
Yep.
Well, I mix my YouTube videos, but that's about it. So yeah, I do have to have help when it comes to putting out the full releases. And Day is still helping me with that. Love Punk Records in Tucson,
Yep.
just wonderful experience getting these songs together. And yeah, I can't do everything on my own yet, but one of the cool things I'm doing is I'm training with this studio so that I can do more of it on my own, so I can record here, have it be ready, and then bring it in and move forward.
Mm.
Um, and with the pandemic and everything, it's been a lot better because I'm not really leaving my house so much anyways.
Yeah. And I think it's really awesome to have those skills, even if, I don't know, collaboration is so good, right? It's so good. So,
Hold on 1 second.
oh no, you're good.
Sorry, my dog just barked. Sorry about that, man.
Oh, you're good. Um,
I
yeah.
got a whole dog pound here at my dad's house. We got 5 dogs in there. They're
Wow.
all huge except for my little Chihuahua.
Yeah. Is that the one that's barking?
hmm She's got the biggest bark out of the whole batch too. It's insane.
That's wild. Dog. That's crazy. I wonder who the first person. It was probably so long ago, but just the first person to see a dog and just be like, "You're coming with me. You weren't made for the wild. You were made to be in my house."
Yes, yes. My dad always says that having a dog is it's essential. He goes, he measures his life in dog years, how many dogs he'll have.
Wow.
Um, yeah, that's his. He's like, I got one more dog left in me, and I'm like, okay, Dad. I hope that dog lives a long time. I don't like measuring it like that. That's a
I got one
interesting measuring stick.
dog in me. That's crazy. That's so crazy. I wonder if that's like I have because of the effort that it takes or just the average lifespan of a dog.
I think he was talking years, um,
Mhm.
but you never know. The dogs do take a lot of work.
They do. I mean, they're living things. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I love my dog. Um, I even wrote a song for her called Rosebud.
Yeah.
Um, which is cheesy as it is. I think everybody that is an artist or a musician should definitely create something for their pet. It's your best friend. You gotta show some love.
Yeah. That's super rad. How tell me about that process. Like, did you had kind of decided beforehand, like, this is gonna be something nice like to do? Or tell me about that process of writing Rosebud.
Oh, well, I was just kind of sitting with my dog and I guess shooting the shit, and I just started singing this melody. Just her name. I was just saying her name, Rosebud, and then I was like, that's kind of catchy. That's catchy, and I picked up my guitar and then yeah, I just wrote it with her right there. We just kind of I sang her the song, and she really enjoyed that. She's making noise here right now. I'll show you her. Come on, Rose.
Yeah,
Come here.
let's see. Let's
I'll
see.
bring her in the camera. Come here, sweetheart. This is Rose. She is a Chihuahua. She is
Whoa.
part Dachshund, part Chihuahua, and she's the sweetest thing.
I think I have.
She's definitely.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, go ahead. Oh, I was just gonna say she is sassy. She's very sassy.
I think I had a Beanie Baby that was like modeled after her. Kind of like, you know,
Way cute.
cool. Those TY Beanie Babies, man. They got me. They got me.
They got a lot of people. I remember collecting Beanie Babies.
Those things were not that cheap either. Like,
No,
not expensive, man. Yeah.
yeah, they're supposed to hold up, be all collectible and all that stuff. And I think they're worth like $1 a piece now, if that.
That was the whole selling point too, right? It's like, oh yeah, these are gonna just go up in value. You gotta
Go
keep
to
the tag
special
on, right? That
shops.
was the thing. Like you gotta keep the tag on. Wow.
Yes, get those special little cases you can put them in and everything. And yeah, people went all out.
Yep. Holographic Pokemon cards.
Ooh, yeah, yeah. For me, it was Yu-Gi-Oh. I was more of the Yu-Gi-Oh kid. I definitely remember collecting those every time we go to the store. Another deck, come on.
Let's see what's in this thing. That was exciting. That was always so exciting.
Yeah, now that I think about it, I never knew how to play any of those card games, but I was super stoked about always collecting the cards. But if you ask me, I couldn't tell you how Pokemon or Yu-Gi-Oh works when you actually have the cards to play.
That's crazy. I wonder how many people just didn't even know how to play. I think I would play a little bit, but we would always like kind of make up our own rules.
I feel that.
Because like you're in elementary school. And like, yeah.
Who's gonna know?
Yeah, I'm just gonna so like when you just that's so interesting. I feel like families do that too. Like when they're they'll take like a solid 5 minutes max to like read the rules. And if like they don't read all of them, they just start filling in the gaps with like what they agree is the right way to play a game.
Oh yeah,
And
and that can get hairy really quick.
there are problems.
Yep, yep. It happens way too quick, especially with family. They think they can bend the rules. They're like, oh, maybe I'll just do this. You know, I remember the big game I always happened with was Risk. There's so much cheating in Risk. So much cheating. Yeah.
Monopoly, that's a big one. People struggle with
Oh,
Monopoly.
you can lose friends over Monopoly. I mean, it happens quick.
Yeah, I mean the banker can just take money. Let's be
Hmm.
What a time, dude. What a time. Scrabble.
Absolutely.
Can't really cheat in Scrabble, but you kind of just cheat by like knowing the two-letter words. Well, actually, no, that happens, right? Because there's like different rules on like looking up words and all that sort of thing. I feel like that happens.
Mm. Yeah, some people are very Scrabble savvy, and it's never been my game. I'm kind of stick with those 2 3 letter words, cat and dog.
There it is. That's,
Yep.
that's super fun. Oh man, you have a whole album. So you're gonna do 3 EPs, you're saying?
Well, I put out 2,
Okay.
working on an album,
Oh,
and
oh.
then yeah, sorry for the confusion.
Oh,
But I'm writing. I'm recording, I'm writing as well. So I've almost got the next project put together. Um, no order yet, but I've got the songs put together. So it's been different. I've never been in the writing process where I'm recording and writing at the same time every
really?
day. It's tricky to juggle. It's different for me. I'm sure you have more experience as you guys rock it out all the time. Um, but yeah, doing the recording and then sitting down and writing a new song, this is kind of my first go at that. And the separation is, it, it's interesting. I'm getting better at it though. It definitely was a learning curve
Mm,
for me.
yep, me too. Big time. Big time. I usually I stick to certain like rules now for my health because mentally
Oh,
it can be so weird. Um, like even the big one for me that I stick to is I'll record my vocals at one time and I'll try and get anywhere from like 5 full takes of the song right to as much as I have in my
okay.
voice. And in the beginning, right, I would just do it, and then of course I would just sit down and listen to it because I'm like, yeah, I just
Yeah.
did this. Now the next step is to listen to it and like figure out what was best. And I just realized after doing that for so long that that was like destroying me, like mentally.
Oh,
Yeah, because I just feel like for me they're in completely different like sides of the brain. Like you're just feeling free and you're present and you're in the moment and you're
hmm,
in the song and you're feeling the lyrics and all this stuff and you just want to share that moment of presence,
yeah.
and then all of a sudden like in a second you go into this like dissecting like what is the best vocal for like the future and what are people going to think of this if I do this, and like
Hmm.
where is my pitch and um
Yeah.
all of those types of decisions. And so now, dude, I'll go in, I'll sing a bunch, and I'll close the computer and I'll
Oh,
I'll take
that's brilliant.
I'll do something else, even if it's just for an hour, maybe whatever, or I'll do another project, and then I'll go back in the next day or whenever I feel that other need, and then I'll just comp it, right? Just pick certain ones, blah blah blah.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's been a big one.
Man, and I bet your whole flow is nicer that way too. That totally makes sense. giving yourself that little break. I definitely could see how that would be less stressful.
Mm.
Just hopping straight into trying to get it perfect. Yeah, that's brilliant. I'm taking notes. I'm
Mm.
gonna do that.
Dude, I would
That's
highly recommend it. Because the other thing is like you hear the things that you want to be better when you're dissecting it and you're super hypercritical and automatically I'm like, oh, I need to be better and all this stuff, but I'm so tired from singing like a bunch
yeah,
that
yeah.
no way that I'm gonna be able to like feel good about this moment. And I just felt
Mm.
so good singing because I love to sing. And now I just now I just like almost invalidated that feeling of just enjoying
Uh,
singing because right now I'm not good enough to like whatever be on the radio or something. Whatever the criticism is. Um,
yeah, all those worries we got, huh?
I just don't want to resent the process. I think it's one of the most beautiful activities that I've ever done. And so if ever I find myself not enjoying it, then I stop.
Mm.
Because I just,
Totally.
yeah, I don't want to ever have a bad feeling. Like if someone's like, hey, do you want to record some vocals? I just want it to be like, yeah, can't wait.
Totally.
Yeah, not like,
Totally.
what if I'm out of tune or what if all that stuff. Ugh, you know.
Mhm. I, I didn't realize, how much work and planning go into to doing that. It's you do have to take some preparation, so that you can feel comfortable and do something, um, and I guess not multitask too much with it because there's a lot of hats to wear with making music, and you can only do so much.
Mm,
Um, yeah, I mean, like I was saying earlier, feeling like a complete amateur in that aspect,
mm,
um learning how to do how the order of recording, like, oh, I'm going to start with the guitar and do scratches,
yeah.
and then I'm going to give myself a break, and then I'm going to come back and I'm going to take a look at the vocal, then I'm going to wait, then I'll come back and record the whole thing. Setting up a process for myself was something I definitely didn't think about at first. It was just like, oh, I just sit down and record the song, but that can get hairy real quick.
Are you recording to a click?
I
Oh,
am. I
good.
am.
Okay.
Um, I started doing that more recently because I could, I could just see, how I was not on the tempo the way I wanted to be. It's very obvious. So I just really dedicated to that click track now,
Hmm.
um, which I like. I like, folksy, natural feeling music, um, but I like being on time better.
Yeah, that's a big one for artists. I think that's one of those ones that's just, people are gonna feel comfortable doing it or not feel comfortable doing it, and you can always do both, Different songs
Yeah.
may call for it or not for it. But that's a big one, man. That one trips me up for sure. Um, but yeah, and another crazy element is like live performing and
Mm,
recording and writing, right? Those three are just so different. That's a different hat.
yeah.
Those are a few different hats. Have you tried
It
live?
totally
Yeah,
is.
sorry, go ahead.
Oh no, you go ahead. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
Have you tried live streaming?
I've done some basic live streaming. I haven't done very good at getting a professional setup here at home,
Yeah.
um, mainly due to the caveman aspects I mentioned before. It's complicated to get OBS and everything running.
Gosh, that stuff is crazy, dude. Oh.
Yeah, I really I wanted to have it running for this, and I spent many hours last week trying to get it all to work right, and then I was like, the phone. I'm not going to risk something going wrong there. So,
Mm.
um, but I'm learning and getting there slowly but surely.
Yeah, that's a good approach, I feel like. Slowly but surely. Just baby
Yeah,
steps. It's
definitely.
so many steps and And it's crazy because you can just watch like a live stream, and it's so easy to just watch it and like watch someone do it, you
Yeah.
know? So in your head you're like, oh, I'll just figure it out because it looks so easy.
Uh-huh.
But
And then there's all of those plugins and crossing stuff over, and whew,
yeah, things
something
can get
else.
wild. Yeah, right now I had to create like an aggregate interface, right? So are
Oh.
you using an audio interface right now?
Yeah, I'm using Ableton, and then I was trying to use OBS as my streaming to stream it up, but it wasn't cooperating.
Mm, mm.
I
Yeah.
almost had it. I just couldn't. I couldn't get return signal from the computer. So I was like, I don't think I'm going to be able to hear Nathan. I could hear myself, but um, yeah, there's lots to get in a proper stream and getting it to sound nice. There's
Yeah.
definitely some details.
Yeah. So output. That's or no. Well, yeah, it is output. You're getting output from yourself, but
Yeah,
not from outside.
right.
Other. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know about that.
It was a user error, is what it was.
I was at the dentist the other day and I was looking at the screen, they're showing you your teeth and everything. And then all of a sudden
Yeah.
like the computer didn't boot up or something, right? And I saw it typing some code and all of a sudden it was like bummer error.
Oh, yeah, that is a bummer.
That's
The
what the
error.
call should be called. Bummer error 1, bummer error 2.
That's funny, man. Technology, bummer error. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, go ahead. It's all good.
Oh, I was just gonna say, the live streaming is such an interesting thing. We can connect with so many people from our bedrooms. From at home.
Mm,
Something I've really been enjoying is live streaming on TikTok.
mm,
Um, because it pushes you to people that don't know who you are. That you've never interacted with.
mm.
And although I love playing for people I know, my friends and family, um, you don't get much outreach on Instagram or Facebook when you're streaming
Yeah.
realistically.
Yeah, it's hard.
So yeah. Whereas on TikTok, it's almost all new people, and it keeps throwing them at you. It really wants you to do well with the algorithm, and so that's something I've enjoyed about it. Of course, on TikTok, there's no professional settings. You can't like OBS stream it,
Mm.
um, but straight from your phone works fine, and it's been a blast.
That's crazy. I didn't know that TikTok had that capability.
Yeah, it's very fun. Um, I do tend to see that there's the younger crowds are the ones that are interested in the streaming,
Oh,
but that's not a bad thing. It's still fun.
yeah, I get really excited to play for young people. Yeah. Not, I mean, kids are cool to play for, but it's more like just that teenage or pre. I don't know, it's just so fun. I feel like there's just so much,
Mm,
um, they have like such a capacity to give feedback and to feel and to like learn and to just participate with something, right? It's my experience of it. It hasn't been so much like um, just like an outside perspective,
mm,
judging or just like observing, even if you're enjoying it, observing. But it's more just like, yeah, 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 or like, and just chat. Like the chat is fun. That's been new for us. People
mm.
just while we're singing, and I just can't help but like so many people were like, dude, don't look at the chat while you're singing, it's gonna ruin the song. And I just can't help, dude. I'll just look at it and someone's like, just saying something crazy.
Have you had the problem where somebody says something really sweet and then you start blushing while you're singing and you're like, oh, I'll dig it?
Yeah, I think
I've
we've
had that.
stopped. Yeah,
Yeah.
we stopped playing just because, like, yeah, it was just too nice, you know. And then we eventually went on, but we had to like stop and be just like, thank you, like, thanks for supporting us, you know.
Yeah, that really is a nice connection. And although I definitely miss, playing out live and interacting with people that way,
Mm.
the people that interact with live streams, the people that are in the comment sections and doing stuff, they keep it entertaining enough. I mean, it does have a vibe to it. Um, the only problem is when you don't have those people that are interacting there on the stream, then you feel so alone. Um,
Mm.
but get a few friends and it pans out.
Yeah, that's definitely right, to have that like group of following that'll show up, even if it's just a few people or five people, and then they'll start talking, and then anytime a stranger comes in, they might, their chances of talking are more likely just because there's already something happening. Yeah, I think we played for
Yeah.
like an hour the other day. No, it wasn't that long. It was like probably maybe 20 or 30 minutes. But
Okay.
we streamed on a day that we don't usually stream, and our like crew that was coming in, where they were all coming late. And so yeah, dude, we were just like playing, and there was one person that wasn't talking.
Oh,
And we're like all set up, dude, this whole place, and just like jamming. And
yeah.
it was really hard not to get frustrated.
I
Right?
understand that.
Yeah.
It's yeah, that is one of the hard parts when you're getting on a live stream and there's that one person just kind of sitting there but not saying anything, and you're like, interact with me, please.
Yeah, or just like, why aren't there other people here too?
Yeah.
Yeah, because at least when you're in a room and there's not much participation, like, at least, I don't know, you're in a room, like you're somewhere.
Yeah, you don't feel as awkward when I'm on a stream and there's nobody there. I just like, I don't know what to do with myself. It's like, I'm here, guys. Come on in. But yeah, out in public, when you're at a bar or something, even if there's not a lot going on, you're just chilling. You're holding the space.
Mm.
A little different with the stream for sure. I agree.
Yeah, I think we'll get used to it, right? I mean, that's the hope, is like that we could, in the same way that we adapt to the other settings, you just view it as a rehearsal, right? You're like, oh, we're just rehearsing, or like, oh, we're just enjoying playing the songs. So
Yeah,
something like that. But yeah, it was wild. And then right, people started like coming in after 30 minutes, and it was just super fun. We ended up playing for like 3.5 hours, and
oh,
but
beautiful.
but just to have that void, it sucks and it feels so horrible, but I've experienced it as like just helpful,
Mm,
like
yeah,
such a push and such a perspective change. And then again, just it just made me so hungry for appreciating when people did come, and just like how
yeah,
better life is when people are participating around something.
totally. Yeah, it makes you grateful for the interaction for sure. Um, yeah, I think that is one of the beautiful parts about a pandemic, and there's not many beautiful parts about it.
Mm.
But just the appreciation we have for each other, and friendships and interaction and being together and just enjoying, you know, fellowship. It's a beautiful thing, something we often take for granted.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I think that was the first, like, it took a while to be able to produce or to write a song that I actually felt was like worth sharing during the
Mhm.
quarantine. I think there was just so much going on that I was too scattered writing
Uh,
a lot, but nothing was really focused enough to feel like, this is it. This is something that will last or whatever. But I think what you said, that was like the first constant thing that kind of was like, hey, I've been, alone and isolated and playing music. and all of these things. But like, wait a second, like I have friends, and like I have a, there are communities, and
Yeah.
you can't, like, I can work on myself for so long and it can feel good, but like, don't forget about your friends. Don't forget
Hmm.
about your family. Like, yeah, the world is like kind of tearing that apart in a sense right now, and it's nobody's fault. It's just happening to us, or
Yeah.
trying to. But it's like, hey, you can still put in effort to connect with people right now. And yeah.
Yeah. We live in a time where we have the capability, with so much technology and stuff. Um, even I live out in the boonies. The fact that we can Zoom and have a call like this is so cool. That connection's amazing.
Yeah. Yeah. Wi-Fi, Zoom.
Hmm.
That's the other
Yeah.
thing. Yeah. About live streaming. It's like you're just like looking at a computer.
Yeah.
That's like, imagine people like that have never seen any of this technology, just like people from 1,000 years ago, just being given this, like, not for themselves, but just they're just watching us. They're just like,
Yeah.
what are they doing? Why are they doing that? Why are they talking to this metal device?
Yeah. It's like a trippy new age movie we're living in.
Really though, it really is. Yeah.
Yeah. It always blows me away, just thinking about what we can do with a cell phone, and also with being songwriters and musicians, like we're able to record at home. We're able to wear all those hats, the mixing hat and producer and writer and so on and so forth. I mean, it is an incredible time we're living in. There's a lot of opportunity. Um, and I just am constantly blown away by it, seeing the new things. And yeah, the live streaming gets better and better too. I mean, even just from 6 months ago when people were talking about doing live streams, there was like this much information online about it. Now, I mean, you got guides and tutorials everywhere. It's pretty cool.
Do you ever get consumed in technology?
Oh, all the time, especially these days. I would say mainly this year has kind of been technology consumption. Um,
Does it ever get to the point where it feels negative?
yeah, yeah. I mean, I for sure, mainly in the aspect of like not doing the things I know I should be doing.
Mm.
Um, I like spending time on TikTok, for example. But once you get sucked into it, and I should be writing, or I should be exercising, or talking with a friend, and then I'm just scrolling, I definitely consider that a negative thing. Um,
Mm.
I think that's kind of when you're a creator. I think we get in this habit of wanting to know what's happening so we can create something valuable,
Mm.
but we can't just consume. We still have to create, because the all the time consumption, it isn't so good for you.
Mm. Mm. And even though you can create on technology, ooh, it gets there's some gray areas in there, right? So you're also
Yeah.
like tricking yourself. You're like, oh no, this is my platform for creation.
Hmm. And I see that like TikTok. It is really easy to make content there. They make it's an easy platform, but I would say debatably the amount of time I spend creating compared to consuming on TikTok,
Mm.
a lot more consuming.
Mm.
Um, I'd like to fix that, you
Mm.
know, but we do what we can.
Yeah. And like what we right, like we like it's like whatever we consume is what's going to eventually come out of us, right?
Yeah, yeah, totally.
Mm.
Um, which is something to be said about platform like TikTok. It's a lot of silly stuff, So I've been thoughtful of that recently. I've never been a fan of technology so much, but this year, just with everything that's happening and so much pressure in the world, I think that has caused me to dive into that technology more, to disconnect a little bit,
Mm,
um, which in some ways has been good, but in other ways not so much. I can see the negative side effects too. So you
yeah,
know,
yeah. Well, man, I really appreciate you spending the effort. It took to be on technology, and I'm so glad that you have a space, man, during this time, right, where you can write um, and record even. Um, that makes me that makes me feel just so excited. I'm really excited to hear,
thanks.
yeah, to hear some of these old songs that you're releasing, and then I'm really excited to hear your new projects as well. I just want to thank you, man. Thanks for doing this talk and catching up,
Yeah,
and it's been a pleasure.
likewise. Thank you for having me. It's such a treat connecting with you, Nathan. It always is.